Hello, welcome to this very last episode of our story that we began with Abraham, the young man that got addicted through self medication. We have gone through his story, the journey of how he began, and we have seen the devastating effect that drug addiction had in his life and everything that concerns him. I want to thank every one of you that has followed us stably on this journey. But I want to assure you that what you are about to see right now is the miraculous power of God's healing. For 2 years, he has stayed clean from addiction. And I need you to stay tuned to the end and watch how he managed to navigate out of this drug addiction and remain clean and still standing. So please stay tuned. Watch to the end as we go through this last episode of this story. Thank you.
Our soul is escaped as a bird from the snare of the fowlers. The snare is broken and we are escaped. Our help is in the name of the Lord who made heaven and earth. Welcome back to Free Soul Podcast. We're going to be concluding this episode on our brother's story, a free soul, Abraham Okodua. Abraham Okodua. We have had a wonderful time with him, an exciting moment with him. We have seen his journey into addiction, how it affected him negatively, how it almost ruined his life, how it almost killed him, in fact, a lot of things isolated him from so many people. But for those of you that are watching right now that is held bound in any form of addiction whatsoever, please stay tuned. Watch this to the end. Did he get out? Yes, he did. There is hope. He came out of it. For more than 2 years now, he has stayed free. But how did he journey out? How did he take that journey out of addiction? So that's what we're going to be hearing from him. We're going to hear from him how, God helped him, how he journeyed out into freedom. Abraham, you are welcome once again. I want to really thank God for your life. I want to thank God for the wonderful thing that your life is a testimony. I'm telling you the truth. In as much as I've been dealing with social vices among young people, this is the first time I'm hearing deep, story and some revelations about addiction. Like I said, I was addicted to pornography and masturbation. I know what I went through. I know all the cravings and all the things, how it almost ruined me. But thank God. But this is the first time I'm hearing, your story. I've always known you. I knew when these things, when you were going through these things, I knew when you were facing this crisis. And what I did not know is how you got out of it. Some few months ago, I came to Benin to minister in a particular church. So when you got to know that I was coming to Benin, you called me that you wanted to see me. And when I saw you, I was so excited. I was very, very, very excited. I saw that you are no longer that Abraham that I knew when you were going through the crisis. You are now like the Abraham that I knew when you were growing up. And I said, no, Abraham, how did it happen? You said, sir, it's a long, wonderful journey and a long story. And that's how I brought you in here, so that you can help others. You can let them know, give them courage, give them hope, and let them know that If God can deliver you, God can also deliver them. Please let's hear your journey into freedom. Your journey into freedom.
Well, like every good professional psychotherapist or doctor will tell you, is addiction is a lifetime battle. That's why I kept saying that it's better you don't try it at all. In drugs, there's nothing like prevention is better than cure. Understand? Because there's no cure. In drug addiction, you only have prevention. And the prevention is after usage. What do you prevent? You relapsing. So basically, it's better not to try it at all than to start looking for a way or a cure out. So it's a chronic, the medical world will call it a chronic mental disorder. Meaning it's something you have to fight almost every day for the rest of your life. Because in pidgin they'll say any loose guarding, if you lose guard small. So you always have to be on your feet. Any period you're vulnerable or make yourself vulnerable, you can relapse. So that's why when you start rehab, when you come out of rehab, you still go for checkup. Possibly every week. From every week, they guide you to maybe 2 weeks, from 2 weeks to 1 month, 1 month to 2 months. But despite how long I've been like this, I still go for checkup. So now the thing is I mentioned in previous episode that the first step to recovery is self-realization. You first of all have to admit to yourself that you have a problem. And the truth is this, is you never know that you are addicted to a substance until you try to stop. It is when you try to stop you realize that I am hooked in this. Now, I know that there's a lot of stigma attached to this whole thing, especially in this part of our world. Understand, when it comes to drug addiction, there's a huge stigma attached to it. I beg, leave an end doing self. Who send a message? I beg, leave a man in that trouble. Who send a message? And people see that, because maybe if they find out you're a drug user or a drug addict, they just write you off. It's natural. But the thing is, you don't control other people's perspective about you. You control the perspective about yourself. The truth is, no matter how much others believe in you, if you choose first not to believe in yourself, their efforts is in vain. I was telling someone not long ago, and I was having this conversation. I was like, coming out of drug addiction is like being in a deep well and someone throws you a rope. They can't jump in there to come and pull you out. Understand? And that well is muddy with water. You're sinking inside the well. They throw you a rope. That rope is rehabilitation. Now, the person can throw you that rope, but the person does not determine if you hold on to the rope or not. And often if you hold on to the rope because you don't want to make the person look as if you don't want to help yourself and whatsoever excuse that you don't hold on to the rope. If you don't hold on to the rope tight and climb, the person will not climb for you. You will be the one to climb by yourself. That's what rehab does to you. Rehab only gives you a lifeline, like pull out to make things easier for you. Sometimes you might climb and you fall. Sometimes you might just slip off while trying to hold the rope. Don't stop there. Now, my own story of how my recovery started first was with I remember mentioning earlier that when I came back from service, Mommy Kemi was making moves on how to help me understand, teaching me how to write applications to look for job and all. So that same period, I knew very well that even if I get a job, I don't want more, because she's someone that I could tell almost anything. But I didn't know how to just face her to tell her that, Ma, this is what it is. Like I said, there's a phrase she raised me up with: Abraham never disappoints God or the few people that believes in you. So at that point in time, I already had that guilt in me that I have disappointed God. I have disappointed those around me. And most importantly, I've disappointed the number one person I know, understand, I've always been there for me and believed in me. But I couldn't keep this to myself anymore. I had to let her know. And that's one thing about recovery. Look for someone you can talk to. If it's your pastor, if it's your auntie, if maybe you can't talk to your parents, look for someone that have a higher dominion over you, that you are answerable to, that you can talk to. Don't carry that burden alone. Now, when I told her, that was the first time. I didn't mind the whole thing, the damage on me, but because then the blisters have already started. That was the first time I actually got broken. Because when I told her, she was shocked. She went home and she wept. She cried seriously, even to the extent the husband, late Pastor Judah, was not trying to console her. Like, it's not like he's dead yet. He's not yet dead. He's still alive. So that's when I found out about how much she cried. That's to show how sorrowful she felt over what happened. It hurt me badly. Because this is a woman that I've always had in mind that God, I'm going to make this woman proud. I'll do everything. Even sometimes when I'm fascinating about the future, I'm thinking about how she'll be proud of me and all that. And this here I am making the same woman I've always wanted so, her to be proud of me, to shed tears. I was broken. And I was like, no. I can't do this to this person. And despite all that, I thank God for the kind of woman she was. She was the first person that made efforts towards my recovery. And this is someone that we are not in any way blood related. We are not from the same tribe. We are not in any way related at all. But it just seems like God just placed me under her care.
That's Auntie Kemi for you. That's Auntie Kemi for you. Auntie Kemi, once again, shout out to you. You have been a great source of encouragement to so many young people. Shout out to you, ma.
So she was the first person that made efforts towards my recovery. Then she also reached out to one or two to see how they can put money together. They sent me to UPT. And then I didn't really know how bad this damage was. I was thinking, because then it was just blisters, just petty blisters. It was my body then. So she took me to UPTH. We saw the doctor. Now, that was when UPTH rehabilitation center just started. Because before then, they mix all the mental patients together. So I was put in there, and she took care of the treatment, feeding, everything. Took care of feeding everything. At this point already, my family was already throwing the blame game. Who sent you? So literally, my family is more like they left me to die. Who sent you? So I could remember one time that. Anyway, now the thing is, when we went in for the rehabilitation, I stayed there for like a month and in there. Now, I'll be honest with everybody. Rehab is like imprisonment. The only difference is you're comfortable and you're taken care of. Because your space is restricted. You can't go out. You can't go outside. You're inside the terrain of the rehabilitation centers. Possibly watch TV, eat, sleep, and all that. And if you're not used to something like that, it might look like imprisonment. You're so desperate. But over a period of time, you get used to it. So when I was in there, after a period of time, I was desperate to come out. Because I was not comfortable being tied down. And apart from that, due to the medications I was given, the wounds have healed. And I've not taken the drugs for 1 month. So I was now confident that, there's this trick that most drug users give to themselves again that, man, I will stop when I won't stop them. I don't know if you understand.
That is, I have the power to stop it if I want to
if
stop
I
it.
want to stop it. If I won't stop them now, I go stop them. My brother, till then, that's when you find out that you're already hooked. You might be able to stop for some couple of days and all that. But once a trigger comes, you're back to it again. Let's say maybe your trigger might be depression. Because to be honest, there will always be phases in your life where you're depressed. And anytime a scenario happens, and because you have convinced your mind that your escape route out of depression and relief and bliss is that substance. So when you're depressed, the first thing your mind automatically comes up. Because the mind is like a computer. The software you feed it is the information. Listen, and that's why anything you do consistently becomes a habit. Listen, because that's why it's just like when you open your window or your phone, you have favorites. Listen, or history. When you open it, the recent, so the ones that you opened recently is what comes up as suggestion. When you even want to type, autocorrect puts in the one that previously. Why? That's the same way the mind works. So when you're maybe, let's say, heartbreak, according to the normal saying, your babe serve you breakfast. Understand? The next you're feeling bad, you're feeling sad. The next you're thinking about, because the human mind is constructed to pursue happiness, to pursue bliss and happiness. Understand? Pursue bliss and happiness. Now, if something is wrong with your body, the first way that your body responds is through pain, inconvenience. And at that point in time, triggering you, understand, to want to rectify that pain or inconvenience for you to feel all right again. That's because that's the way we are designed to pursue. Pastor, right now as you are, almost over the same program you're doing, you are not doing because it makes you sad. There's a sense of fulfillment and bliss attached to it, right? The prospect of knowing that lives will be blessed, listen, and changed through the effort you're making, it gives you, isn't that? Yes. That's the same way. So everybody have what they allocate and attribute their happiness to. And once you allow yourself to be tricked that the drug or the substance you take, it's what makes you happy. Whenever you're sad, whenever you're depressed, your brain will always bring it as an option. And you, most times, you'll be like, no. But the funny thing about thoughts is, the more it reoccurs, see, this is the way it is. Most times, you have no control over what you think, but you have control over what you analyze. We might just be sitting here talking about something before you know, are you a football fan?
Okay, not quite.
Okay, not because quite. Same here, at least congratulations. Me and you did I'm not also a football fan.
I'm not a football fan.
Okay, but let's assume that you're a football fan.
Yes.
And let's say you're a fan of Arsenal.
Okay.
But no, make a call people when they win. Let's say Real Madrid.
No, whichever.
Bros, I don't even know when they win or when they lose. So now the thing is, let's assume.
I know someone out there will say, oh, but you don't know what you are missing. Well, we are not missing anything.
Well, everybody attributes what makes them happy. Understand?
My own is not football at all.
Me too. It's not. I don't know how to enjoy that game, but I see a lot. So imagine someone that, let's say you're a Man U fan. You're a Man U fan, Manchester United fan, and whenever you're sad, you watching your team play is what makes you happy. So imagine maybe you have a disagreement with your spouse or something, or you got a disagreement in the office, and when you get into the house, what's the first thing that pops into your mind to do?
Sit down, put on the television, and watch, even if it's old match.
Old match. Why? It's not like you have not watched that match before, but because you're trying to, understand, distract yourself away from the pain, from the discomfort. And that is because that is what you have fed your mind to believe. That's the same way drugs work. You have convinced yourself, like I mentioned the other time, the dopamine levels attached, because dopamine is what's responsible in the brain for our bliss, understand, mood, and I think it's also part of memory. It plays a role with memories too. So that bliss you feel, happiness, understand, your mood and all. That's why you notice when someone is doing drugs, they easily get mood swings. So when that particular dosage you take that first time, it's not enough. You increase it to get that same dopamine level. So now, because you have increased, that's the medical aspect to this now. And that's where rehab comes in. Because when they put you in rehab, they actually give you medication, understand, to restore your brain to heal back to normal default mode. Normal default mode. But the issue is the aspect of the the aspect of the brain that's responsible for craving is the same aspect that's responsible for memory. That's why when you're recovering, they try to tell you to avoid some certain friends. They try to tell you to avoid some certain relationships. You can't be dating a drug user and you're trying to come out of drug use. They try to tell you relocate from some environment. Like me, I had to relocate from Port Harcourt to Benin. I start afresh in Benin. Because I realized back then that whenever I come out of rehab, because I went in and out of rehab for about 4 times. 4 times. And whenever I go in, whenever I come back to Port Harcourt, I relapse. I'll go, I'll recover a bit, I come back, I'll relapse. So I advise, change environment. You have too many triggers in Port Harcourt. Change environment. Now, the interesting part is anybody that tells you, pardon my English, anybody that tells you that it is easy, that person is either ignorant or not being honest with you.
Not being completely honest with you.
Yes. Listen, because someone can be wrong and still be honest. And I've heard situations where they tell people, no, you can do this. All you need is just determination. Sir, you're not wrong. But determination is just the starting step. Because the truth is, as much as you're determined, that's where even the scripture still mentioned about zeal without understanding. Determination only gives you zeal. But if you lack the understanding of the steps to come out of it, you will keep falling back. And the more you fall back, the more discouraged you get. That's just how it plays out. That's why you see that you advise someone today and be like, please don't do this again. And the person will cry and they are willing to stop. They actually want to stop. It's not like they don't want your advice. They actually took your advice. They want to stop. Understand? But once the craving comes, every advice, every other thing is gone. Until they take it again. And when you not see them taking it, after I don't advise you, and at that point in time, you give up on them and make them feel like it's a useless effort. But there are processes to this. And I think the major thing, now back to my story, this was where the trigger for determination started. When I went in and I fully recovered, understand, I was in a hurry to leave rehab. I felt there was no need of me being there. Then at the same time, I didn't want her to keep wasting money on my stay there because I felt, after all, understand, if I determine to come out, I'll come out. If I determine to come out, I'll come out. Understand? So look at, I've not taken it for 1 month now, so I'm okay. My body is healed. I don't see any reason to go back again. I'll not go back again. And genuinely, I was sincere to myself. No, I don't want mommy to keep spending money like this. No, I'm okay. Nothing will take me back again. After I left, truly, 1 week, I was clean. 2 weeks, I was clean. A month, I was clean. But at the same time, triggers occur. Because before that time, after, I told you that initially it was pain that made me stay taking it. But then it now became a matter of the feeling. It makes me feel relaxed. It makes me feel blissful. One thing is, that's why I noticed that some people that are into drugs hardly have time to pay attention to sex. Understand? They hardly have time. And even when they want to have sex, they involve the substance first. They engage the substance first.
So sex does not give them the kind of satisfaction that drugs give to them.
Yes. A junkie right now, I don't think a junkie will have any need for a woman. Except if maybe the junkie was already a sex addict and now involved in. And even at that, you're craving for sex. Because one thing about sex too is it's still that sense of bliss, that sense of pleasure you're looking for most of the time. Understand? I'm not just talking. I'm not talking about married couples now, because even as a married couple, understand, there's an extent you get hooked on. You no longer find sex appealing. So the drugs gives you that bliss, and you see, that's why I hear some people they'll tell you that now my baby this. Later they use them too. Now once I don't take this one, I don't chill, I don't relax, I don't feel myself. That's just it. Because they receive similar bliss, if not more. Understand? From that. Now, interesting part is this is I came out, and because things became challenging for me, plus the stigma I was going through, understand? Because it was already out there that I was a drug user. So it didn't make things easy for me. And I was trying to get my feet back again. And at some point, even when I told people that, because then it was going to like up to like 1 month, when I told them that I've not used for a while like this, they kept like...
You were skeptical.
Yes. There was this doubt. And there's a way that people throw too much doubt to you that you begin to accept it. Understand? And that's why it's good to have people that believe in you. Understand? Like to hold you and be like, I believe you can do this. What started my journey to recovery was because I didn't want to disappoint those that believed in me. But at a point in time, that looked like almost nobody, believed in me. And the only person, understand, that actually believed, that period, she was now well occupied, understand, so we barely had time. I was still trying to recover, at the same time receiving condemnation from everybody, judgment from everybody. So the depression, the self-condemnation and all that, understand, led to a relapse. Which I don't blame anybody because it's not their fault. They never could have told. You understand? I don't blame anybody. But the thing is, then too, if I knew what I knew now, possibly I wouldn't have relapsed either. Because the truth is, to a great extent, you don't have control over what happens around you. But you have control over how you choose it affects you. So that is just the situation at that point. So I relapsed. And one thing about relapsing is, whenever you relapse, you become worse than you were before. That's how relapse works. You know, when you climb, the higher you climb, when you fall, the more the impact of the fall. That's just the way relapse works. So after a while, when I relapsed, I became deeper. And at that point in time, I was now losing my sense of pursuit. And after all, nobody believed me, so what's the need? So then, I was doing the right thing for the wrong reason. And that was one thing that God had to first correct before bringing me out. Because then I was not doing it for myself. I was not doing it because I believed I deserved it. Understand? I was doing it for others.
Yeah.
I was doing it for others. So over the long run, due to my relapse and all that, those closest to me were disappointed. So it was more like I was alone at that point in time. I didn't have the face to go. How do I face Mommy Kemi again? Although I knew she'd have known, I know that she had no grievance in her heart. I knew that, understand, because we still talked. I know she had no grievance in her heart, but that guilt, I couldn't, understand. I was not punishing myself. I couldn't forgive myself for failing. So I just continued like that. And this time around, the damage became more. That was when the whole body thing and all that decaying thing and all that started. Then at some point, you see where people begin to plant thoughts into your head like, this thing will be ordinary hand. Person don't put hand. See, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I don't dispute the parts that diabolical influences can play in making someone useless. I don't. But the truth is, one thing I've come to realize in this life is, God does not work in your life without your faith.
Yeah.
And Satan does not work in your life without your fear. Either way, you're in charge. If Satan is working in your life, it's because, check out Job. Because most times, that period when I was going through what I was going through, it was constantly Job they were mentioning to me. Even to the extent that when you mention Job, I'll be like, guy, take time, I'm not. And I resemble Job for your eye. Understand? Now, if you notice, most of the things that Satan attacked were things that Job was scared of losing.
Yes. Things that he feared.
Because think about it. No offense to Job, in case you didn't even watch me, but if you like say you no fear to lose your wife, this is why say Satan no attack your wife. Listen. So why didn't he attack the wife? Possibly Job was never scared of losing the wife because he was assured that the wife will always be there. But the ones he was scared of losing was what he lost. So Satan works with your fear. God works with your faith. That's why even before God could restore Job, he had to first of all change his orientation. That was where the scolding came in. When he said, where were you when I created the heaven and the earth? Don't limit me to your level. He had to first of all change the orientation. And after then, when Job's orientation had been changed, he now prayed for his friends. Then his breakthrough came. So, even though I believe that Satan can make someone useful useless, understand, through addiction or through humanity, they can inflict all that on people. That I don't dispute that. Okay? I don't dispute that. But the truth is, even at that point, you still have a role to play. You still have a role to play. Satan is not that powerful. You still have a role to play. So, at that point in time, it was a matter of orientation now. I kept taking it, I became destabilized, then I was not living in self-pity. After my first rehab, that was when after it seems like, see, you know the way lions hunts prey, they isolate the weakest. So one of the things is, at that point you're fighting, avoid being isolated. Believe me, avoid being isolated. It makes you an easy prey. That's when you even need to be among. See, if you can't find people that care about you, look for activities you care about and involve yourself and make yourself valuable enough to be noticed. Because at that point in time, the first strategy that Satan used was, or my mistake, was the isolation. Because I felt like I was not good enough to be among others. I was not good enough to be in the midst of others. So I was isolated. At that point, that was where things became, I didn't care anymore. So dosage increased. Now when I was not taking, I'll be taking like 4 ampoules at once. Injecting myself. If it's nothing above 4 ampoules, I won't feel it. 2 in the morning, 2 packs in the morning, 2 packs in the afternoon, 2 packs in the evening. So in a day, plus or minus 16,000 naira was going every day.
Wow.
And there are drugs that are substances that are way, way more expensive than this. Way more expensive.
So, did you move from the first drug that you took to another?
No, still same.
Still okay.
Still same. Now, after that period, I attempted my first suicide because of depression. I felt I had nothing to live for. It didn't work. I attempted second suicide again after a period of time of rejection, whereby if I pass through here, everybody close their nose because they feel like a corpse just passed. Understand? I couldn't relate to people. I couldn't go to church. I couldn't do anything. I was totally isolated from society. I couldn't be in the midst of people. Sometimes, even right now, sometimes to show how traumatic the event was or the incident was, sometimes if I'm passing and I see someone like covering their nose like this now, understand? It needs to trigger back memory. Are you sure I'm not smelling again? Are you sure it's not because of me, this person? Because then there's no way I would pass that everybody like, waiting this smell. So it was after that period, I now went to Benin, sold all my properties here, relocated to Benin. We tried to use native medicine to treat the injury in the village, and became worse. The injuries became more infected. Then I would leave my village, which was Isha. I would drive to another state because there was no place to get the drugs. I would enter a bike from my village to Abo, which was the next state. That was the closest busy state.
That's Delta State.
Yes, Delta State.
Nigeria.
Understand? To go get the drugs. The bike, I'll charter a bike to and fro. That was also why still looking for solution I'm talking to you about. So later when I came back, I was so frustrated at this point in time. Because number one, I've started losing my principles.
Okay, wait, let me cut you short here. Now, when you left Port Harcourt, you sold all your properties.
Yeah.
So how were you sustaining the drugs again? How were you getting money?
Okay.
How were you getting money, to still sustain that crave, to quench that crave?
You know what they say, that desperation is the mother of all invention.
Yeah.
Understand? There was a point in my life that I had to roam the street begging for money.
I remember there was a time people put up an appeal for you online.
Online. That was what started off my treatment.
Okay.
But before that period, then, because number one, with the way I sounded, with the way I appeared, if I approach any shop, I'll be like, I'm sick, please help me with anything. At least by the time I meet like 3 people, I would have gathered enough to buy for that period. Listen, or I would make calls to people that I know, friends and all that. I'll be like, please help me out. And they never knew what was going on with me. So they help out. Listen, so that's how I was now running around, understand, accumulating money to buy this. And then sometimes if I don't have money, I will owe.
All right, now lest
I forget. The relationships I had, especially from office and all that then. So if I reach out to them for help, since they knew that I was sick, understand, they always felt sick.
Because they didn't know exactly what was wrong with you.
Yes.
Like so many of us then that you were reaching out to. After some time when we started giving, we got now to find out. That was when I got to find out that you were addicted to drugs. So I didn't know the real story. I didn't know, I got to hear from several people, some of your friends, that all that money that we were sending to you, you were using it to. So, and that was too bad. I don't know. Please see, these people, they need our help. If I had pried further, I just thought that your addiction, was just, as a result of being a young boy, I thought it was, yes, youthful exuberance. I didn't know that addiction came, this is how it started. So someone like me, I stopped reaching out to you. I stopped, giving. Sometimes when you call me, I don't pick your call because I say, this one now, give him money now, you use it to go and take drug. But until you get the full story, you will not know. You will not know what these people are going through. So now, I need us to get to this point now. When you said the social media, they began to raise money for you.
Yes.
So that was when the money they raised for you now, you now began to use it for your treatments. Now, because before now, people raised money for you and you were using it to quench your crave. So the ones that they now raise for you now, that you now used in the treatment proper, who was the custodian of that money?
Now, the thing is this. First, there's an impression I would like to correct.
Okay.
The first initial effort was by Mommy Kemi.
Okay.
And after then, there were no funds that were raised, understand, by anyone, like people I know within,
Yes.
understand, again.
Because a lot of people got to,
So-
know, a lot of people that you knew then, got to know that you were actually using this. That was the impression a lot of people had. Some of your friends were, talking about it. And that was why most people stopped giving you.
Now, the thing is, this is, as much as there's one thing I believe in, is as long as you're fighting, the only time you drown free will, even though you don't know how to swim, paddle yourself. While I was drowning, I was still paddling myself.
Yes.
I was still paddling myself. As much as, because in this life, nobody owes you anything. Nobody owes you anything. That's why I tell some people that if you come out from a family, a parent, like a father or a mother, that are responsible, they choose to take care of you, cater for your school fees, cater for all this, appreciate them. Because most times children tend to feel entitled. Like, after all, it's my father, it's what he's supposed to do. Forgetting that same man had the choice to be irresponsible, live a wayward life. After all, he's the one hustling for the money. Go and carry women, carry side chicks and all that. And all you can do is complain that my father is irresponsible. I don't know if you get me.
Yeah.
You get. So most times when you get these privileges, appreciate them. Now, at that point, I was trying to paddle out. But I received more of criticism.
Yeah.
People tend to focus more on the error, like the problem, than the solution. So after that first try, understand, everybody used that, or most people use that as an excuse that, they don't take them to rehab before in relapse. Understand? So everybody just used that, who held on to that excuse. They don't even. I knew a couple of people that don't even make any effort at all, but use that as an excuse. But still, I still tried my best to paddle. And don't forget, why paddling not through this period? Like you said, even when you were praying to God, that God, understand, I don't want to do this masturbation again, I'll never do it again. You still take it, even while you were born again.
Yes.
So you can still be you can still be sincere, still trying to fight your way out of an addiction. Understand? And still be falling, but that doesn't make you a terrible person.
That's it. That's true. That's true.
The most important thing is, don't lose hope that you can come out. Don't lose hope that God is more powerful than the addiction stronghold. Don't lose hope. So at that point in time, this is where the magic started.
Good. The miracle.
Yes. Now, where the miracle started was this. My last suicide attempt, I overdosed myself to the extent that it was enough to kill a cow. I passed out. And after I passed out, a couple of hours later, I say, opening my eyes, everyone was still blurry. I was like, okay, am I in heaven or in hell? Am I in heaven or in hell? Only for me to open my eyes and I realized that I was still in my room. Like, I was so angry. Imagine where you the verse for God. Like, I was warning God seriously as if me and God, we were mates. No, I'm serious. You know that kind of a thing where maybe your elder brother offends you, understand? And maybe you and your elder brother is the same height, and you be like, bros, no, now because you senior me, no try this nonsense again. No, that was how I was warning God. I was like, God, what kind of nonsense is this? What kind of nonsense? Kill me, you don't want to kill me. Heal me, you don't want to heal me. Is it by force? I don't want again. I don't want to live again. Is it by force? I'm tired. Take my life. At this point in time, my prayer was no longer recovery. My prayer was, please take my life. Because I could no longer bear the shame, the reproach, the pain, the trauma. I could no longer bear it anymore. So, at that point, a voice came to my head. It was like, Abraham, do you know that if you die now, you would have suffered in life and still suffer after life? So, as long as there's life, there's still likely to be hope. Since the life is no longer useful to you, why not just give the life to God? After all, what do you have to lose? You have already lost everything. So why not just give the life to God? It's not like you have anything else to lose. So literally at that point in time, I did not give my life to God as per oh Lord, I submit to your will. I gave it to him as a punishment. I felt I was nothing but chaff. I felt like I was in no good, like I was a liability to even humanity itself. So me trying to take my life was me doing the world a favor. So the idea was me giving myself to God was more like a punishment. Show you they look for life. Now you they look for life. I'll be, oh yeah, take now. Take. Nobody one life. Take. And that was it. And at that point in time, I began to see a glimpse of hope.
Okay.
I reached out, that period, I was having craving. I reached out to a friend. I was like, guy, this is what I'm going through. This is what I'm going through. Understand? And the guy I didn't mention the area of the addiction. I just told him that I just stick to the diagnosis chronic skin ulceration. Understand? Because that was what I was diagnosed for. Because then my body decaying. I was like, I also did a video call with him so that he'll believe me. Because this is someone I've not talked to for a very long time. And, back then when I was in school, I was doing so well that I was not selfish. I helped my fellow students. So anybody that held that, Abraham was going through this, they couldn't believe it. Because everybody was looking forward to me being successful and being okay. Looking like,
of course, because you had a bright future.
So nobody could have ever believed that it is like this, they'll be looking at me. So when I reached out to him for financial assistance, he was like, guy, I don't have right now, but if what you're saying is correct, why not we post this on Facebook or social media and push it and see how we can raise funds? And the way we talked, I had to open up to him to tell him that, guy, this is it.
Good.
So he was now like, and I thank God for him. He was not judgmental. Not like, seriously. And the funny truth, this guy, I knew him back then in university, and he was also using drugs.
So he could relate.
Yes.
He could relate with what you were going through.
Understand? But just that, after he left school, he stopped. Because that's where environment also plays a role.
Yeah.
Understand? There are some things that before, let's put it, when you're a baby, it's easy for you to be sucking your thumb.
Yeah.
Right? And then it was fun. But when you outgrow that mentality, right now you can't be on this podcast and you're sucking your thumb. Everyone will be like, what's this? So I believe he outgrew that level of mindset where he had to subject himself to substance for bliss. So he was like, guy, you know what? We just need to fight this. We now posted the issue on Facebook. And most people that knew me, when they saw it, were shocked. And a couple of NGOs reached out.
Okay.
People did personal donations. And that's another problem and another challenge I had then. Was I ought to have looked for someone to supervise the inflow of that money.
And to manage
it.
That's what I asked.
But the thing is, I was running this battle alone. Going to the hospital alone, coming back alone. At some point, I had to block my entire family, block all their numbers. I was still in Port Harcourt, but they never knew where I was. And it's not because I left, because there was a time that I was in my room while suffering. Like, my dad came in, I was like, look at you. I told you you're going to end up useless. He thought I was lying. Look at you.
Chai.
Is a madman on the street not better than you now?
Chai.
So it was more like I was left for dead. I could remember when my sister told me that my dad said that they should take me to the village so that I can go and die in the village. So that when I die, it will be easier for him to bury me than to start wasting his money to carry my corpse from Port Harcourt to the village.
Kai, that was terrible.
And they didn't make any efforts to help. So I never really had that support. And to be honest, I thank God by the grace that and mercy he bestowed on me.
Yeah.
No man can take the glory for my recovery. Not even I.
Yes.
Not even the doctors. Because even the doctors still see my recovery as a miracle. They told me, there was one time we were in a meeting and they told me that, Abraham, to be honest with you, I never expected or believed that you were going to survive. That's what the doctor told me. Imagine where you came in for rehab. They knew that you didn't have enough Understand? He didn't have enough. They like, okay, go home. Understand? Because they were scared I was going to die under their care. Rehab normally, the least I think now is 6 months. I was only able to stay to afford 2 months. And over that 2 months, understand, by the time I was discharged, I could not afford to pay my hospital balance. Luckily for me, it was during December Christmas period, understand, 2022. And all these NGOs that comes to hospitals to help clear out bills saw my case and they cleared out my bill. That's how I was able to be discharged. So when the doctors were pressuring me to leave within that first, I was like, no, because I was determined that I can't leave this place again. Understand? So if it will take me to endure 2 months in this place and be fully free, I will. I begged them, I was like, I'm going to stay for 2. You know, when you're in rehab, everybody's looking for, they want to go, they want to go, they want to go. But me, it was the other way around. Like, I have to stay.
At this point, you were determined.
I have to stay. So now, if I had had the support of someone supervising the funds, understand, I think my recovery would have been faster. So I was able to get support from NGOs, understand, individuals, strangers. Like, that was how God was just favoring me. Strangers that knew me from nowhere. Some invited me to their office, put it on live feed for people to see me and donate, understand? While some saw the post, come account details was there. They were now donating. So that was how I was able to start the treatment. But the thing is, I had nobody to actually supervise the fund. It wasn't appropriate for me to be responsible for that fund.
To be the custodian
of that fund.
But
because I didn't have anybody running the race with me, listen, I had to. Then I'll get admitted. And usually when you're in rehab, they don't give you access to your phone.
Okay.
Listen. But because I'm the one sponsoring myself, understand? So meaning there was no nest of kin to make decisions for me. I'm the one paying. So equivalently is what I say stands. And since I was an adult. So like, okay, you have to give me my phone once in a while so that I can reach out to those helping. So I actually had, once in a while, they give me access to my phone. Now, the disadvantage of this was that then in Benin, since I didn't know anywhere in Benin, although I'm from Edo State, but I spent all my life.
Because you didn't grow up in Benin.
Yes, I spent all my life here in Port Harcourt. So when I went to Benin, I didn't know the area, so I had a cab guy. With my condition, I can't move around or enter public vehicles. So most times, most of these cab men, when they see my condition, they avoid me. So I only had one person that was sympathetic towards me and was willing to move me around. Now, he knew what was wrong. He knew what I was thinking. Because sometimes, even inside the car, when the craving becomes too much, I'll tell him to park one side. I'll inject myself inside the car. So, when I now got admitted, he was the one who drove me to the hospital there. Because then hospitals were on strike. So they recommended me. The specialist was actually in UPT and he had his own private hospital. They directed me to his place. And I went there. I was there for like 6 months. Now, whenever the craving came, but because this place did not have the proper capacity to handle rehabilitations, because hospitals for rehabilitations is specially designed.
Yes.
It's not like normal hospitals. Normal hospitals have lots of loopholes. The nurses were not trained to handle such situation, because some of these people can get very aggressive when the craving comes. So at this point, I actually got to that point where when the craving comes, I will tell them to give me my phone, that there's someone I want to meet for money and all that. I'll tell him that, okay, guy, come and visit me in the hospital. As you're coming, buy that injection for me. Understand? Then he will not charge me like triple the normal price. Understand? Plus transportation. And because I was desperate for it, I'm not telling him, okay, as you're coming and buy bread. And this guy was a matured guy. So nobody would have suspected. A married man with kids, a matured guy. I tell him, buy me sliced loaf of bread. And when you buy it, both the syringe and the needle and the injections, hide it inside the slice of bread. So that in case for any reason they search you, they won't see anything. And they'll think that, okay, you bought me bread and fruits as you're coming to visit me. They help me to buy fruits too. After all, those things will not be waste. So when you be like, he will not give them to me. So I'm like, he will not tell me, they look at you. They look at you. So because the finances was within my proposal, understand, I had access to these things. So when everywhere is clear, I'll be hide somewhere, I'll go to the bathroom and hide, inject it. So whenever they come to dress my wound and they notice that there's been, this place have been injected, Abraham, what did you do? I never did anything. And sometimes when I can't read the driver, I'll look for the next of kin, the family of maybe another patient that came to visit. I try and persuade them to go to the chemist. I'll even fake prescription. I'll write prescription by myself and fake it and fake signature. Fake signature and give it to them and should please them to get it. Now when the doctors found that, they now had to chain me to my bed.
Wow.
To make sure I don't have movements moving around the hospital. So at that point in time, I stayed there for that's when I did my first skin grafting. I stayed there for 6 months before I came out. And that day, same day I came out, was the same day I relapsed. That same day I came out was the same day I relapsed. And I kept on trying and trying. It was in and out of rehab 3 times. And at this point in time, all the money I've gathered, was totally exhausted. I've spent money in the hospital, without proper supervision, and it all went to waste. So, that same period, because, like I said, so many NGOs came to raise money for me and other people too. That same period, my phone was stolen. My phone was stolen, and because of my condition, I couldn't move around. And nobody wanted to give me an apartment. So the place I found was more like a scrapped room. They said I was sleeping on the floor. Listen. So I actually passed my physics and my urine the same place I eat. If I'm pressed right now, I'll look for waterproof and excrete physics. If I'm pressed urine, I use container. I call it Coke and all that container. Because I couldn't share the same restroom with my neighbors. They were so irritated with my presence there already. So at night, at that period in time, I was already now trusting God, building my relationship with God afresh. So every midnight, up to today I still do it. Every midnight I make sure I make sure I stay awake. Although I don't stay awake, I set my alarm to make sure every 12 a.m. I spend time with God. It was more like a date. I look forward to it. I spend time with God. I discuss with God. I pray, worship, like that. So that particular night, I was waiting for the time to pass up. And I was just playing some, because I downloaded so many messages, because that's the part. And I came up to realize that personality matters when it comes to coming out of drug rehabilitation. You can't use your previous personality to win a battle that your previous personality put you in.
Take it again.
You can't use your previous personality to win a battle that your previous personality put you in. So you need to outgrow.
So the same you that brought you to that addiction, you cannot still use that
same you to come out of the addiction.
Your knowledge,
Exactly.
the knowledge you have, your relationship with God or any power, you cannot.
Exactly.
Because at that point, you need a higher power.
Listen, to come out. You need a higher power and higher understanding to come out. When I was in year 1, they said that the motto of philosophy is man, know thyself. So first, you have to know yourself. When you were young, to climb to the parlor chair was difficult for you. Said they had to carry you or your seat, baby. It was difficult. The more you grow, the easier it became. Now to sit on a coach, it's not difficult for you. Why? You have outgrown it. So some of the challenges we pass through today that looks like a mountain, tomorrow will be something we just step across.
So in other words, self-recovery starts with self-discovery.
Exactly.
Before you recover, you need to discover
yourself.
Yourself.
It's like being as long as you don't know how to leave this office. To leave this office will be difficult for you. I've come up to understand that the only thing that is difficult for man is what man lacks knowledge of.
Yeah.
There was a time that to treat malaria was difficult. If you had malaria, it was a life death sentence.
Yeah.
But because there's no knowledge on the malaria issue, malaria is just like ordinary thing. So if you're in this office and you don't yet know that there's a door that leads out of the office, understand? You'll be like, to leave this place is hard. You go to the wall, to leave this place is hard. But guess what? As long as that place is dark, it's difficult to locate the door. But once light comes, locating a way out is easier.
So when light comes, darkness cannot comprehend.
So when the light comes, that place becomes easier. But you don't just need lights. You don't just need illumination. You also need instruction and direction. Because it is the instruction that will tell you, use this door. Because most times when we are trying to do try your luck, time is going and damages are being done. So with divine instruction, be like, open this door. And you open it and you come out. So this is how to come out. Next time when you go into that room, do you think you find it difficult to come out again? No.
So at this point now, you now got the light of God.
Yes.
Your understanding about God increased. Your knowledge about God increased. And that light came deep into you.
Yes.
Your recovery began from the point when you discovered light. Your discovery, became, possible, or rather your recovery became possible when you began to walk in the light of God.
Listen, so I started studying, one thing about, I'm going to put it in a scientific and psychological platform now, because I believe not everybody, especially in the generation where we are now, where they groom people that claim not to be religious. Now, the thing you should also understand is, you're a product of every information you expose yourself to. If you are this party groovy type of person, that was your personality before you went into drugs. As long as you continue with that same personality and hang around the same kind of people, attend the same kind of parties, your possibility of relapsing is very high. It's very high. Or if you maybe a guy that likes to form, now we understand, you're trying to form tough. And one of the things that go along with you forming tough is you using substance. So even if you come out of rehab, if that mentality of now we doesn't leave, it's only a matter of time, you relapse again. But when, like what Paul said, he said, when I was a child, I thought like a child. When I grew, I left all the childishness. So there's some things right now that you look back on and be like, maybe they do all these kinds of things. What was I thinking? Listen, what happened? It's just like when we were young back then, maybe in secondary school, there was this girl you had this huge crush on. Like you'd be like, as if you don't see that girl that day, you won't be able to breathe. And you won't be too scared to express your feeling. And like, man, your world revolve. You buy biscuits, but you always want to be around her. But when you sit back now and you think back to those days, you'd be like, what was I thinking being that stupid? Listen, what was I even thinking? But back then, that was the most perfect thing for you to do. What happened? You outgrew. You became more matured than that. So, what I was doing is, because the truth is, it is God that have the ability to touch the hearts of men.
Yes.
Listen. So I choose to trust God, kept studying, listen. So now, this was where Satan decided to come in. All the messages I was listening to was inside my phone. My Bible was inside my phone. All the contacts I had, since I didn't know anybody in Benin, all the contacts I had for help and all that. And at that point in time, there was an NGO that was supposed to sponsor my next treatment. It was inside that phone. I was inside my room. Someone sneaked into the room, disconnected the phone where it was charging. By the time I heard the noise, looked out, it was the guy. He ran off with the phone. Due to my condition, I couldn't chase after him. So by the time it was like a dream. I had to force myself to sleep. For the first time I didn't pray. I had to force myself to sleep. Like, let me be and wake up, let it be that this is a dream. So at that point, it was as if I was stranded. Then the next morning, I was outside. Usually, I don't come outside. I was outside frustrated, didn't know what to do. Then some people came out for evangelism. And these same people were people from my childhood church, the church I was born into. And so when they saw me, I was like, hey, what's wrong? I explained everything to them. They now directed me to the fellowship. That it was that day. I should go and attend the fellowship. At the end of the fellowship, I should try to see the lead pastor there. And I went. So when I went there and I explained everything to him and all that. I mean, my intention of going there was not for them to help
you.
Listen, because most of the previous churches I tried to reach out for help before then, listen, only ended up in more depression and disappointment. As much as I believe in the role of prayer in a man's life, there's also a role of responsibility. There's a role of process. Don't praise someone out of addiction. Don't try to praise, no matter how much your faith. Understand? I don't see, there's nothing God cannot do. Yes, I know that. Understand? But don't try to see. God, I still attribute my recovery to God. But God did not snap it out like that. Instead, He brought the right people.
Yes.
He brought the right people. So something I've been pursuing all the while myself, I couldn't succeed. He brought the right people to guide me in. So when I met this pastor, number one, he didn't judge me. I was just expecting for him to just find me something for me to go eat, or possibly he used to go and get substance. At that point in time, it was more like, man, what's up? Just like the man making efforts, the man drowning. He now told me, okay, I should come to service the next day, that particular Sunday. Because I was telling them that I needed help to get the phone so that I can be able to reach out to people in Port Harcourt, because that's where I know all the people I know. So like, okay, let me just take this one. You used to buy food first. You get? And even when you wanted to give me the substance, like, I know there's a possibility that you want to use this substance. This money for substance. But still take, but make sure you get food first. Come about your phone. When you come for service or so, we'll talk about it. So he knew that extending, I don't know the grace that God just gave to him. He knew that just giving me help will not be help. It will be him just rendering assistance. But for some reason, God actually placed it in his heart to actually take the issue personally. So we looked for a way. We were able to get an Android phone where I was able to get some of my contacts, but lost most of the contacts I needed. And he said, okay, we're going to go through treatments and all that. He now had to his personal fund. Understand? I looked for it because at some point the whole thing was getting bad. And this, for the first time in a while, I found someone that was not judgmental, that was willing to listen, that was willing to help. So, and this time around, he was using wisdom to follow the situation. So he didn't give me money. When it was time for us to go to the hospital for rehab, one of the church members who was a doctor in UPT, she was like, okay, transfer the money to her, go to the hospital, understand, put him in, pay for everything. Don't give him the money. Treatment is what you need. We'll take care of everything. So she went ahead. So all I had to do was just sit down. And that was the first time in a long time, apart from the period where Mommy Kemi took me to the clinic. That was the first time in a long time that anybody was willing to invest their time for me. Other times I've been the one, but the money, everything was within me. So now I didn't have access to it. Although I still had little money. And I was still dealing with the craving. So when I was in emergency where they had to dress the wound first in order to reduce the odor before putting me in the rehab, But in the rehab, I have to be with other people. And most of them will not be able to stand the order. They took me to emergency where they had to like clean the rehab, clean the wound. While I was on admission, I would leave the admission bed, go outside, go and look for a pharmacy, buy the meds in a waterproof, hide it, come back before anybody notices. And that's because, like I said earlier, a rehab center is different from a normal hospital. Listen, I could easily go out because it was a normal hospital. Listen, so by the time it was time, and luckily the way God strategized it, I didn't even know when I was going, when they were going to move me to rehab. So by the time they were willing to move me to rehab, I've exhausted all the drugs I bought. So going into rehab, I was not stuck there. They had to take my phone, and I didn't have need to be with the phone. And when I was in there, I hid my phone somewhere. That's why I hid my phone somewhere so that in case the craving comes. At that point in time, I was almost giving up. So luckily for me, one of the guys that was mentally derailed, that's why I still believe it was God. Understand? Because at that point in time, when the craving came, I was just looking for the phone to look for someone I can call to bring it for me. The guy went to meet me, report to the ward manager that I'm with my phone. They came, searched, and saw it. And they didn't really condemn me or anything. They just took it from me. Kept it. Because they understood. So that's what being around professionals that understood the situation. The craving came, struggled with it. And at that point in time, I told them that please, I needed my Bible. So at that point, I was always focused on studying. And while I was there, I kept on envisioning myself how, by the time I leave here, how I will look. If it was before, I don't have time to dress now. I'll wear the same clothes for like 1 month or 2 months. I won't take my baths for months. Understand? So I was a reproach to everybody. You know that kind of a thing where people, when you're passing on the streets,
Yes.
and people are like, what's this? What's this? That was how bad it was for me back then. So I hated the way people treated me. And I wanted a way out badly.
All right, let's because we are really running out of time now. I need you to encounter. I need you to get to that moment when you now had that encounter that brought you out completely and that kept you now. You know, yes, we have gone through all this in the reproach and everything. Now, at what point did that encounter, your encounter with God, your encounter that, you know, that delivered you, that gave you that freedom that you are enjoying today?
Well,
I need to get to that point.
Now the thing is, I don't think it was a point.
Yeah.
I think it was more of a process.
A process.
Understand? It was more of a process.
So the process started with you, first of all, discovering yourself.
After that suicide point,
yes,
where I had to give my life to God.
Christ, yes.
Then
so
myself.
You started first by rededicating your life to God.
Yes.
You gave your life to God. You now handed over everything to God. Say, God, I totally surrender all to you.
And even while still being a child of God, then a born again, I was still struggling with addiction.
You were still, yes, but like you said, it's a process. So at that, most of us, like I told you, when I got born again, I still struggled with masturbation and everything. But I understood where I was going. I understood, my salvation and everything. So that process, first, you rededicated your life. Secondly, you began to take in the word of God. You began to take in more light. You began to grow in the word. You began to grow in the light of God. Then gradually that light began to break that dark situation gradually. And, you now got to the point where God began to now favor you. God began to bring people that understood you. The church people came, and every other step that you took now. Then to the rehab. Was that the last rehab?
This is the last rehab.
Good.
And at that point in time, the doctors were amazed because I didn't go through withdrawal syndromes. Due to how much I've used it, 6 years use, understand? They expected lots of critical withdrawal syndromes.
Then it was God now. The greater power has come in now.
All
The
I
greater
felt was
force
just
has
teary
come in.
eyes. They were always
Yes.
coming. Are you feeling this? Are you feeling? I'll be like, no. They were shocked, like, because they expected the withdrawal to be serious, but I didn't. And within less than 3 to 1 month, my body was already recovering.
Good. Very good. Now, I need you to look at the camera right now. There is somebody out there. He is going through what you went through. He has tried himself. He has been determined. I'm sure he must have also gone through suicidal attempts, several suicidal attempts. But at this point, I think this is his crossroad. He has come to the cross right now. Now, I need you to look at that person right now and say a word of hope to them. I need you to give that person courage, that strength that he will use to go through the same process that you went through and, that brought you to this level. Please look at that person right now. The person is looking at you. The person is watching right now. And that person wants to know how did you get? So please give us that word of encouragement.
All right. Now, first thing I want to tell you is as look at this life, there is hope. And the journey, you can't do it for yourself. So first thing first, admit you have a problem. Admit it to yourself, because the worst thing any man can do to himself is self-deceit. Admit it, you have a problem. If you can pray that God should guide you to someone that you can relate to. I know that there are some people that you will meet and they will judge you for it and you will regret. But the truth is, it's better you fail looking for help than fail not looking for help at all. So, meet someone you regard, you have respect for, you have regards for. Tell them you need help. Then, if there's opportunity for you to go through rehab, now, please, don't make anybody, whether it's your parents or well-wisher or whosoever, a philanthropist that chooses to sponsor that rehab, don't make them regret it. Because going through rehab is not cheap. And if that person is willing to make that sacrifice, although I know there are scenarios in which you might have to fight previously, relapse previously, but guess what? Don't give up. I relapsed a couple of times before I finally broke free. I know you have told yourself, I will never do this again and all that. Don't give up. Keep pushing. But don't push alone. Seek professional help. Seek professional help. Now, there are three different categories of people when it comes to drug. The vulnerable, the users, and the addicts. The approach for a vulnerable is not the same approach for a user, it's not the same approach for an addict. A vulnerable are people, especially maybe in secondary school, because I was discussing with you the other day that the level in which secondary school students are getting involved in drug use these days is alarming. And some of these drug sellers, these drug barons, they recruit students to sell in school premises. Now they package drugs in form of candy, benten, and all that. So those people are vulnerable. And by the grace of God, when I made a vow to God, I told God that if He brought me out of this, I'm going to use my story to reach out to others so that they don't make the same mistake. So for a while now, since that 2 years now, I've been going through secondary schools, letting people know that this is the danger. Using my case scenario, I guess that's where this song comes in. I'm trading my shame for the glory of the Lord. That this is what He did to me. So don't see it as fun. Stay out. Those are the vulnerable. Then we have the users. And these users are actually those that are already experimenting. They are not yet addicted. They just take it once and all that. Believe me, nobody ever plans on being an addict. You will never see anybody that's an addict that ever plan on being an addict. It starts from make I take one. From one, make I take two. From two to three, three to four, you get hooked. So if you are already a user, now that it's not too late. Now that it's not too late. Seek for counseling. Even at this point, don't stop by yourself. I think there are lines for those things where you can get free counseling. NDLEA also have a line for that. Seek counseling, they will guide you. So that particular thing that makes you take it, whether it's for fun, for bliss, for depression, whatever it is, they can guide you through it. Then if you're an addict already, seek professional help. But it is possible to come out.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Abraham. Thank you very much.
Yeah, before I forget, I think a vital role that played in which God helped me was He placed a vision in my head. And I kept playing the picture all over and all over again. Because the mind is a reflection of your thoughts. I had to strategize the memories, previous memories of pain and all that. The first thing I did was forgive my parents. Listen, and forgive everybody that I blamed for where I was. And I had to learn to forgive myself. It's very important. What I just said now is very important. Learn to forgive yourself. You made mistake? Yes. You ruined things, you damaged things? Yes. Right now as I'm talking to you, my right leg is already partially disabled. From the knee down, I can't move it. I can barely feel it. I can't move it. I can only walk with... There was a time they wanted to amputate it. I can only walk with the leg. I can't run with it. I can't walk fast with it. So if someone doesn't notice properly, they will not notice that I limp. That's a permanent damage that possibly to take a miracle from God to replenish. The skin tissues are already gone. But I would not say that because I'm no longer as complete as when I started, that I'll start dwelling on the casualty and forget on later. You know why? Because we have a God that have the capacity to turn a dry bone back to life. And that same God took this condemned vessel, and here I am, using my testimony to be a blessing to you. So God that did it for me can also do it for you. So learn to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Then forgive those around you. Then paint a picture of where you want. When I was in rehab, because free time now on the bed or watch TV, I was always thinking how by the time I come out, how I would dress nice, how I would look good, people see me. I was already picturing my mind how I would go back to my hairstyling business. I was already making plans.
And all these things you have started doing.
Yes, all these things.
Yes.
Because the truth is, idleness is not just the devil's workshop. It's the greatest poison to a drug user. You have to avoid being idle.
I do. That's it.
Listen, so once I came out, those pictures I've already created in my head. Listen, that's what I was pushing. With the help of my pastor, I registered in a salon to learn how to ventilate, revamp, wigging. These are women things. Anyway, so in case you don't understand what I'm saying, wigging of
so
hair.
Right now, God has really, really restored back, your craft, and you are doing very well right now. Please, I need you. He said something that he made a vow that when God helps him, that he will use it to reach out to people that needs help. And that is what we are doing in Free Soul. Now, God has delivered people like us. He's a free soul. I'm a free soul. And I know there is a free soul watching right now. You want people to hear your story. You want people... This is an opportunity and is a platform where you can also come to help people, to share your story and let people also, be part of what God did for you and where you are today. Please feel free. We're going to leave our contact in the description box where you can reach us, or you can even go to the comment box, tell us that you want to be part of this. We're going to reach out to you. Let's do this together. Already, we have a project, the Reconciliation Project. We go from school to school, university to university, creating the awareness of, the dangers of cultism and addiction. And thank God, God has helped us thus far. You can also be part of this. Even if you cannot, come physically, your little token can also be part of it. But you can reach out to us and, tell us how you can. But most importantly, if you have a story, we want to hear your story. The world wants to hear your story. People wants to know how you went through your journey into what you went through and how you came out. And God will use you mightily to help others. Please, if you have not subscribed to this channel yet, please do well to subscribe to this channel. Hit the like button, hit the notification button, because we'll also be bringing in more free souls that will come to help us. So please, also comment. We need to hear your comment. Your questions will help us a lot to know which area where we can also deal with. If you have a particular challenge that you are going through and we can also help you, please reach out to us on the comment section and God will help you.
Thank you for staying to the end of this video. I hope you have really, really been blessed and you have seen the power of God saving a man from addiction. The same God that helped Abraham can also help you. I don't know what form of addiction that you are going through. I don't know what you are held bound with. But if you are watching this right now and you are struggling with one addiction or the other, even if it is drug addiction, with this story that we've had, you have come to see that there is hope. There is hope. You can be delivered. You can stay free. You can stand out. If you are a parent watching this and any of your child is going through this addiction, please don't kill yourself. Don't condemn him or her. I want you to understand that God can still deliver that young man. Now, he took us through some of the ways that he, came to stand out and stand free. But one most important way that you need, the first step to your recovery, the first step to your freedom. St. Paul said in Romans chapter 7, he said, the good that I want to do, I find myself not doing it. Rather, I find myself doing the wrong things that I'm not supposed to do. He said there is, war going on in his mind. He is held bound. He's a slave to those things, to the sin. Oh, wretched man, he said, who will deliver me from this? And that scripture said, thank be to Jesus. Thank God that Jesus can. The power to freedom is Jesus. The power to stand free is Jesus. So if you're watching this video right now, I want to take you to the first step. I want to lead you to the first step of your freedom. The moment the light of God comes into you, the Bible says, when light shall appear, darkness will comprehend not. So when the light of Jesus comes into your life, the darkness of addiction, the darkness of sin, that darkness that has held you will be shattered. So you want to take this first step. You can also stand in the gap for your loved one that is addicted. You can stand in the gap. But let's take this first step. If you really want to be free and you want to take the first step to freedom, Jesus is the answer to that. So I need you to follow me as I pray with you in this journey. If you want to accept Jesus as your Lord and personal Savior, He's the only way out. He's the only way to your freedom. Just say these words after me. Lord Jesus, I receive you as my Lord and personal Savior. I have tried all that I could, but I cannot. I've done everything in my power, but I cannot. I have come to surrender to you. I surrender this addiction. I surrender this habit to you. Save me. Have mercy upon me. Forgive me of all unrighteousness. Every wrong step that I took to get to where I am, I ask you to forgive me. Have mercy upon me. I receive your light. I receive you as my Lord and my personal Savior. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for delivering me. Thank you for setting me free. The Bible says, he that the Son of Man has set free is free indeed. You are free indeed. The Lord has set you free and you remain free. Thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Please share this video. Comment. We need to hear your comment. You need any clarification. We're going to be dropping our link at the description, column where you can contact us. You need help, we can help you. We're there to counsel you. We're there to help you. So don't forget to subscribe. Once again, hit the notification button, like and comment, then share. May the Lord bless you. Thank you. And remember, stand out. Don't blend.